10 Tips for Age of Mythology Part 6. Curse. Curse is a god power you get from worshipping Aphrodite in the Heroic Age. The god power turns enemy units in a small area to pigs. The amount of pigs converted is determined by the health of the units. So either units with a very low HP base or severely weakened units are the best target to get max value. It's also a bonus if you can do this close to your base, so you get all the pigs for yourself. Crenellation's Towers. Cavalry in the early and mid game can be extremely strong and great for raids, as when they're moving at full speed they can dodge arrows from towers. A big defensive counter to them, however, is the upgrade Crenellations. This makes your towers able to hit them even while they're moving, and also deals bonus damage. The cavalry units often fall off in the late game, just due to how many towers there are around. Vortex Garrison. Vortex is a Mythic Age god power that allows you to transport your whole army to a location. But what if you want to keep some of your units at home? You can do this by having those units garrisoned in a building while you cast the god power. This will send all your other units and leave the garrison units in the building, and then you can take your units out of the building whenever you want. It's great for stopping a counter-attack from your opponent. Team Game Markets. The further your trade caravans travel from the town centre to the market, the more gold they gather. This is especially good in team games, as the maps are so large. But not only that, if you trade with an allied town centre instead of your own, you gain even more bonus gold, as well as the long walking time. On top of this, you should keep your eyes peeled for the most broken relic in the game, the Osberg Wagon, making your caravans not only cheaper, but faster as well. Even more of a bonus if you picked Egyptian or Gaia to get the Pharaoh Empowerment boost or the Channels upgrade. Basically, just build trade in your team games. It's broken. The max value Pharaoh. The Pharaoh for the Egyptians can boost so many things, it's hard to decide where to use him sometimes. If you really want to try and min-max, you can have him boost a resource, force drop all the villagers at the same time, then empower a temple or any other building faster while the other villagers are still gathering. Later, you can turn back to gold just before they have the maximum amount to drop off again for that maxed out efficiency. This is the sort of stuff I love min-maxing for my 5 extra resources, but then throw away an entire army 5 minutes later. The Ceasefire Counter. Most would see Ceasefire as a god power to counter their opponent's power spike, or a strong timing attack, like flaming weapons, or even catching an Ancestor's Eclipse. But it can also be used aggressively. If your opponent is going for a fast heroic strategy, they usually won't have any military buildings up until their castle type unit in the Heroic Age. This is especially true of the Egyptians. If you can scout your opponent's second gold mine, that's normally where they put their Migdal stronghold. You can use Ceasefire to block their Migdal stronghold from going up, as you're not allowed to build castles or towers during a ceasefire. And you can spend the whole time of that ceasefire getting units while they can't. The Osiris Eclipse. Ancestor's Eclipse has been a broken god power combination since the game's release, by boosting the damage of your free minion army. But there's a way to get an even better version of this later in the game. If you can get 3 or more mummies on your side and use the Eclipse, they'll get a faster recharge time on their special ability, resulting in even more minions. You can even pair this with an Ancestors too if you really want. Also, the mummy upgrade Atef Crown really helps, as it doubles your minions' lifespan and they even outlast the minions from the Ancestors' god power. Boat damage. In an arrow ship war, you don't notice how much damage these things actually do, as boats are also quite tanky. If an enemy human unit goes close to the shore, you can take them out very quickly, as each boat is essentially multiple archers and has way more health. Bear this in mind though if you want to rush down the enemy docks with your units. The best land options to taking out archer ships would be towers and siege. Oasis Ulfsark. On a low hunt map like Oasis, there's normally shed loads of goats to collect from around the map. If you're playing as Norse on this map, a great strategy is to get an extra Ulfsark right at the start of the game before you start making any villages. This means you can send one Ulfsark to one side and the other Ulfsark to the other side, and do double the scouting you normally would. This way, you should find way more goats than the opposing player, and have a massive advantage after the limited hunt supply runs out. Unit hotkeys. Setting up some hotkeys for the most used units from each building can be a real time saver. You can set these hotkeys to keys that are close to where your left hand is, which is usually hovering around the 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. I like to use Q for my most important hotkey, which will be a Gatherer, Hoplite or Chariot Archers, and then W for the second most important, like Dwarves, Hypaspis and Camels. If you want to, you can go all out and set up every unit in the building, and either go in a line QWER or QWAS in a grid. If you currently don't use hotkeys, I would just start off with just the one for the most important unit, especially for villagers.